Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with a real quick video because I got to get to church this morning. But a real quick video. First off, don't forget hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Really would appreciate it. But the key takeaways that I got out of the Alabama Crimson Tide taking down the Texas A&M Aggies, 24-20, the final score in Tuscaloosa yesterday, this past Saturday on October 8th, 2022. You look at the quarterback comparison, of course, Jalen Milroe coming in to fill in for Bryce Young, who was out with a small injury. Jalen Milroe, 12 of 19, 111 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's pretty good for his first career start. I'll give him that. You compare that, though, to Haynes King, who threw the ball more in this game. Alabama actually did a lot more running the ball. And really, the offense stayed off the field for the most part of this game. Uh, when you look at Haynes King and what he did for A&M, 25 of 46, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Both quarterbacks with the interception in this game. So you compare that overall, I'd say the offenses, and let's pull this up here. Let's look at third down efficiency. 5 of 17 for the Aggies, 5 of 14 for the Crimson Tide. So Alabama had less opportunities on third down than A&M did. They both were struggling to convert. There were quite a few punts. There were some field goals in here. A&M was 1 of 2 on fourth down. Alabama, no attempts on fourth down. Alabama, literally 1 yard shy of a 400-yard offensive game. 111 yards passing. They ran the ball more effectively than they did throw it. They had 51 rushing attempts. 21 of those were from Jahmyr Gibbs, who had 154 yards. They were able to run about 5.5 yards per carry. 6 penalties for Alabama. They also coughed up 4 turnovers. But I think what killed A&M was the penalties. I mean, they had it there at the end, but obviously Alabama was able to get a stop in this game. But I think having 8 penalties to Alabama's 6 is kind of what killed the Aggies, because penalties and lost yardage can back you up, can play effect in the game. Again, you look at the turnover ratio. A&M had 1 turnover, Alabama with 4. Um, Alabama led, though, in first downs, and they led in yardage. So this was one of those where, when I look back at it, I would like to say that uh, the offense kind of won the game. I think, even though there wasn't much scoring, again, a 24-20 final. You compare the quarterbacks, like I said, you had Haynes King was 25 of 46, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Jalen Milroe, I thought, did okay. He was 12 of 19, only 6 incompletions, or 7 actually, if you do the math. 111 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. So 3 touchdowns for Jalen Milroe passing. Actually, I do think, didn't he run one in? Um, but I know he found guys like Cameron Latu in there. He found Jermaine Burton for 35 yards. And he found Ja'Cory Brooks. So I guess maybe he didn't run one in. So it was all 3 passing. So, but what does Alabama need to do? We got a big game next weekend in the third Saturday rivalry, and Tennessee's no sleepy team. They're undefeated right now. They're 6-0. Alabama 6-0. and both of these teams are going to be undefeated. It's going to be a top 10 matchup. We'll preview on Tidal Wave Talk this week more of this game, and we'll talk more about it. But as far as this game goes, I think these are the games that Alabama needs. These are the building blocks. These are the stepping stones that are going to build a championship type of team for the Crimson Tide or for really any team. Georgia struggled a little bit against, remember, who was it? Was it South Carolina? They had their championship building game there. Alabama just had a championship building game. And I know people want to look at this game and maybe want to dog Alabama and say it shouldn't have been that close. And maybe you're right. But you can't be a champion without playing a close game because ultimately, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get everybody's best game, even if you make it to the college football playoff in the semifinal. And then ultimately, if you do end up making the national championship, whoever you play, you should expect to get your opponent's best game. And even if you blow them out, that at some point in that game it's going to be close, and you need to know how to win. You need to know how to pull away. You need to know all that. But I think this was a good building block for Alabama this year. They Jalen Milroe, he looked phenomenal, I thought. But Alabama, there were some costly turnovers and some penalties that almost cost them the game. They were able to escape late. There was a missed field goal by Will Riker. Not that it really played into this game, but it was one of those that maybe he wishes he could have back. It was from like 30 something yards out. I don't know how he missed it, but I'm not here to dog the kicker or anything. But 24-20, the final. Where does Alabama go from here? Do they use this game against Tennessee? Uh, it's a great possibility going into the Tennessee game next weekend that they could end up using this as momentum, knowing that they're going to play a good team. They're going to get their best game. And they got to go on the road to Knoxville, by the way. It's in Knoxville. Uh, do they use this game? Like, it's possible they use this as motivation, as building blocks, as momentum to say, we've been in this situation before. We know how to take care of a strong quality opponent, and we know we can win a good football game, a big time football game. So, uh, that's really all I got. I really don't have much else on this game. A real quick video for you guys this morning. Um, Jermaine Burton led the team, 3 receptions for 48 yards and a touchdown. You had Evan Stewart with 106 yards off 8 receptions, no touchdowns for him. Uh, so there wasn't really that go-to lead receiver for A&M other than Evan Stewart had 106 yards. But uh, they they had some key players in there. I would say there was a fumble that Alabama lost that ultimately, and that was at the start of the game early on. A one play drive, lost 4 yards, had a fumble. A&M gets it, picks it up, and goes and scores in the second quarter. Um, they fumbled. They fumbled a couple times. They had an interception too. So there were just some ups and downs for Alabama in this game, and there were some mistakes that could have been avoided but weren't. And I'm not here to I'm not going to be Coach Saban. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be the guy to say the quarterback should have done this, the running back, the wide receiver. I'm not going to be the guy to say any of that. How do I think the offensive line did? I don't know, man. There was a lot of pressure in the face of Jalen Milrow. That's something that needs to be worked on before Tennessee next week. Is the offensive line got to step it up? I thought they did okay at times, but you know, great blocking helps a quarterback move the ball more effectively. Helps the run game more effectively. Um, so there, the offensive line had some struggles too. uh, I'll say this: congrats to congrats to Alabama for winning, but I do want to credit A&M because they made this a competitive game. This was more competitive than I thought it was going to be. Definitely more low scoring than I thought, and I know I apologize for forgetting tidal wave talk this weekend too. We'll get to Tennessee this week. I promise you, we'll get it out. Um, but this was definitely one of those games that Alabama needed. I really think it's a stepping stone and a building block to where this team wants to be in terms of wanting to win a national championship this year. It's much needed. You know, you can't win a championship without playing a close game because, like I just said, you're going to play everybody 9 times out of 10, and it's just going to get tougher as the year goes on, and eventually you will find yourself in a close game. Even in 2020, Alabama had a close game. Remember, they played in the SEC title against Florida 52 to 48 or whatever it was in 2020. So, and Georgia last year had a close game against Clemson. So, every champion has a close game at some point, one point or another, and this was Alabama's close game. I know they had Texas too, but I think this one especially, like this one, this one was wild. So, um, but do I think Alabama's built for a championship? I'll say they're working on it. I don't want to say that they're ready because they're not. But I do think that they can get ready and get better as the season goes on. They got to go play Tennessee upcoming. Let's double check their whole schedule here. Let's see what they got left. They got Tennessee. They got Mississippi State. They got LSU. They got Ole Miss. They got Austin P. And they got Auburn. So really, what's left? You got four straight SEC games, three of which are on the road, and they're all ranked. Outside of the Austin P game, there's plenty of room for error with what Alabama has left. So, can they finish the season undefeated? Who can slip up Alabama? I think of all these teams, it could be Tennessee. I know that they haven't won since 2006 against Alabama in the third Saturday rivalry. I understand that, but I just think that's the next best team for Alabama to play. And if they're not careful, if they don't clean up what mistakes they had this weekend, they're going to slip up. And they're probably going to slip up big against Tennessee. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I want to hear from you guys in the chat, or really in the comments because we're not live. But want to hear from you, Alabama fans. What what are your takeaways from this game? What can Alabama do to get better? I thought the defense was great. I really did. I think like for today's offense in college football, get only giving up 20 points is great because all these other teams are wanting to score in the 40s and 50s. So I thought the defense played great. I just thought a bunch of penalties and some turnovers on offense really what almost got Alabama another loss to the Aggies, and their first loss on the season. But again, I mentioned the quarterbacks too. You compare them. Haynes King and A&M threw the ball more. They also really had more time of possession on offense. Again, Haynes King was 25 of 46, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Jalen Milroe for the Crimson Tide, his first career start. I thought he did great. 12 of 19, 111 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. But 24-20 the final. Alabama over A&M. I love you guys. I'm going to get out of here, go to church. Jesus loves you. He's got a great plan. Comment what you think about this game, Alabama fans. Even if you're an Aggie fan, I want to hear from you guys too. What went wrong that you guys think was the reason A&M lost the game? I am curious about that, but I think Alabama just stepped up on defense towards the end of the game. And I think some turnovers kind of got in the way of us maybe scoring more points. And I think the same could be said for A&M. But we'll see. Tennessee, you're up next. Welcome to the third Saturday of October week. We'll have a lot of fun this week on Ballard Sports Media. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up. God bless. And like I always say, roll tide. Ballard's checking out.